Hey guys, this is Jessica with Whispers of Grace Healing. I'm here to just chat, okay? So I will be getting to the messages of the heart and finish up, some of the generals here in a little while. But listen, guys, I was having some weird dreams last night. And, Spirit has really been pushing me to talk more, not just do readings, because, and I've asked y'all, like, if there's topics y'all want me to discuss, I will gladly tell y'all about my experiences and, how I feel all of this kind of ties in together. So, and y'all have heard me say, pay attention to your dreams because they're always telling you something, right? So last night, I actually ended up having a dream, which I haven't had a dream about anyone related to my ex. Like, hey, Jenny, how are you doing, hon? But it was really weird. And another thing, like a lot about the Mandela effect has been coming up. Okay. Hey, Michelle. So, traveling in alternate dimensions and shit like that, that's been coming up a lot too. So I figured I'm just going to get on here and share my experience. And, it definitely helped my best friend. So I'm just going to share my experience, and however that helps you, I hope it does. Okay. So, because I'm just not keeping my mouth shut anymore. Spirit wants me to share. I'm here to share, guys. So, hey, Cheryl. Wow. See, okay. So you're obviously in this chat for a reason. So, okay. So this is what happened. And I'm definitely one of those people that has a very strong third eye, and I usually live in my upper chakras the majority of the time. So I really have to work on balancing out my keeping myself balanced between being here in the 3D existence and being connected to the spirit realm. Hey, Kara. So, last night I had a dream that my mom and I, like, and I mean, it was clear as day. We knew we were traveling to an alternate dimension. But it was interesting because I don't really remember a lot about it. That's not what got me this morning. So we're like having to go through certain steps, certain obstacles in order to get to this alternate dimension. And there is one guy who's kind of different, there's a bunch of souls there. I didn't recognize anyone. But it's like a lot of people were just coming in and out of this alternate dimension, and we knew we were going there. Like, we made necessary steps, we took necessary actions, and went through like a specific way of getting to this place. Okay. So it was very interesting once we got there, and I'm not really sure like what we actually learned there, but I do remember the guy who basically ran the place. He's the one that kept track of who was coming in and out and who was staying, and whatever the case may be. But it was one of those, like, when we were coming back out, there was two couples that were coming in, and they were a little confused on, where where they were, what they were supposed to do and stuff like that. But again, that's not my issue. Like, it was just kind of, we were passing by each other. And so after we got done with that realm, we ended up coming back. And what weirded me out was whatever happened there, I guess I felt like I needed Jesus. So there's one church that I have experienced here in this 3D dimension called Coastal. And it's a little ways away from me, but I mean, me and my friend were totally led there, and it was a great experience, but I haven't been back. So I felt really comfortable there because the people were really nice. They were very welcoming, and obviously the pastor or whatever, he had a very close connection with God, because I mean, he was speaking right to us. Everything we needed to hear that day, like, it was there. So I guess I felt like I needed Jesus and I needed to get in touch. So I went, and that was the weird thing too. Like, I knew it was a Wednesday for whatever reason. It was like a Wednesday night service, but it was closer to Christmas. And my ex-mother-in-law and my ex-father-in-law both sent me a Christmas card, which was really weird because I haven't talked to either one of them since we separated. Like, everyone blacklisted me after I set boundaries with my ex. And then all of a sudden I'm the evil one, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. So it was very interesting that they both sent me a card. And, you know, with my mother-in-law, it was the typical pleasantries, like, hope you're doing well, thinking of you, blah, blah, blah. But with my father-in-law, and listen, guys, listen, me and him were super close, super, super close. I broke him out of his shell. He broke me out of mine. We hung out all the time. Like, he was a extended father for me, like, super, super close. And I could always count on him. And I even, like, started opening up to him to where I wasn't able to do that with a lot of other people, especially men, right? So when he ended up blacklisting me because of whatever his son told him that I did or did not do, whatever the case may be, he ended up, like, just cutting me off, just completely cutting me off. And I was fucking heartbroken, guys. I mean, I was angry. I ended up almost breaking a recliner over this. Like, it was abandonment issues from a father figure all over again, right? So it was very interesting that this, you know, this man that I adore, like, still to this day, I completely respect, I adore. Hey, Sherry. But it was one of those things, like, for him to send me a Christmas card, I was like, oh my gosh, like, what does this have to do with, right? So I'm driving through the rain. It's nighttime. I'm pulling into the parking lot of the church, and it was in a slightly different location. It still felt the same, but it was slightly different. And so I'm pulling into the parking lot, and I'm sitting there. The rain's pouring down. All I can remember really was that I was in my old car. Like, I have a new truck now, but I was in my old Trailblazer. The window wouldn't go up all the way. I'm shoving a shirt in the window so I'm not getting soaked while I'm reading these cards. And, you know, hers again was simple pleasantries, you know, hope you're doing well, thinking of you, blah, blah, blah. And then, and he actually wrote me a letter, like, full-blown page letter, right? And somewhere in there, and this is really only what I remember because it triggered the fuck out of me, was, I don't hate you anymore for giving up on my son. Okay. I'll get into that in a second. Just blow on past it, Jess. Blow on past it. Okay. So this was a very, like, very big thing for me, and I'll explain why in a minute. So I'm sitting here bawling my eyes out in the middle of a church parking lot at night, rain pouring down. I go inside, and it was weird because, you know, normally you don't scan in at a church, but I was, like, so disoriented that I'm, like, digging through my purse and pulling everything out at the counter, trying to find a scan card to scan in. It was weird. And all these people are walking by me. But then there's this man that approached me, and I mean, I recognized his soul. I don't recognize his face, but I recognized his soul. And he recognized me, and he was like, hey, Jess, how are you doing? And I couldn't even speak. I was just like, I know that if I open my mouth, and I mean, I remember, like, thinking this, if I open my mouth, I'm going to lose it, right? So I was just like, you know, and he's like, okay, I'll see you inside. And you could tell that he was thinking like something's up here. So I finally get in and I sit near him. But he actually ended up switching to come closer to me. And I remember looking up at the stage, the singers are up there. They all look at each other confused and then go into a break room. And then I woke up. It was weird as fuck. Okay. So regardless of all the other trivial details, and this is why I say pay attention to what, what your dreams are telling you, because I feel like it is a confirmation that a lot of us are traveling to different alternate universes and stuff like that. And sometimes things just might not make sense. And you feel like you're doing that before. Because I was taking a shower earlier and I was like, I feel like I'm having deja vu, which my stepdad's been saying a lot. So I feel like this veil is kind of, you know, thinning out. And so like, it's kind of one of those things, hey, Tim, it's kind of one of those things where we're not really quite aware. And I don't even think that we notice it because they're so similar, right? The dimensions are so similar, but they're like alternate timelines, right? So you got to pay attention if something seems like a little out of place or whatever the case may be. But when I woke up, guys, I was just like, what the fuck? First off, I was super upset, and I'll explain why. Because there was actually one point, me and my husband, we went through a lot of stuff. We'd known each other for 20 plus years. We knew each other for 15 before we even got together. And he was a close family friend. He was friends with my brother growing up. We were neighbors when I was a child, like all kinds of things. And yeah, Kara, it's real deal. Okay, I'm telling you. So it was one of those things where and listen, as a Taurus, I do not give up easy. I am stubborn as fuck. I love so hardcore that if I'm down with you, I'm down with you. You have to push me into the ground and push me away and like cut off everything in order for me to walk away, like hands up, I surrender. Okay, I'm done. You know what I'm saying? The old me, which I ended up being a doormat a lot. I was taken advantage of a lot. I was manipulated and tormented and abused emotionally, physically. And, it was just a really hard lifestyle to live with being who I am. Right. So when it came down to the point where, and I know he was struggling with his, sense of self and what he's meant to do in this world. And he has this thing about, and it took me a lot of, processing to understand what some of our problems were. But he wears a mask. The only thing he really cares about is himself and how other people's view him, which even in a former life was the same issue. He's been carrying that shit around for lifetimes. Okay. So listen, it's not about that. It's the point that I knew neither one of us were truly happy anymore. I knew that no matter what I did, he was not willing to make the effort for our relationship anymore. No matter how many times I voiced my opinion, no matter how many times I tried to set my boundaries, he walked all over me, right? And ended up making me feel like shit to the point where I lost my voice. I didn't respect myself. I let my body go. I was fucking miserable, guys. And that's not him. It was me. It was my choice. I allowed that, right? But when it came to the point where it was like my soul was trying to pull away from him, and I could not understand why. When I realized that I was a medium and I started having a lot of these experiences, yes, he acted supportive until it came to him, right? If it didn't have anything to do with him, he was trying to be as open and understanding as possible. But when I started picking shit up on him, I was wrong. I was completely inaccurate. There is like, it was just wrong. Everything was wrong, right? And and then it got to the point where I really started questioning my sanity. Like, am I, and this was another issue. A lot of narcissists that I dealt with in prior relationships, or, you know, people who took advantage of me and tried to convince me that their behavior was okay when in reality it wasn't. And no matter how much they were hurting me, like, I just had to be okay with it type shit. And so then it came to that point, like, my soul was trying so hard to convince me, like, you got to let go. You have to move away from this in order for your well-being. Like, I mean, I was becoming suicidal again. I was thinking about like just leaving, but then I was like, oh my gosh, I have all these responsibilities. What about his kids? You know, and all these things. Listen, I was a freaking mess. Okay. I had no idea what was up, what was down, and I had no faith in myself whatsoever. And so then it got to the point where when I even started studying mediumship, someone who did a reading for me was like, I feel that your soul is trying to tell you to leave a situation that is no longer serving you. And I was like, he had no idea. Hey, Christina G. The guy that was doing this reading had no idea what I was going through. And my best friend was going through this with me at the same time. So she was like stunned that this came up, right? So I'm sitting here crying my eyes out, driving down the road one day, and I'm just like, Lord, I don't know what to do. Like, I love this man. I love him with all of my being, and I love his family. I love my family. We have built this life together. I don't want to give up on him. And Spirit literally said to me, and this is when I was having a hard time like deciphering what was me and what was Spirit, but they literally said, you're not giving up on him, you're releasing yourself. I don't speak like that. You know what I'm saying? So it was one of those moments where, I mean, I lost it. I broke, and I'm like, okay, I have to start making necessary plans to get out of this situation. And at the time, my toxic brother was living with my parents, so I couldn't go home to them. And I was like, literally had nowhere to go. I'm sitting here like, am I going to sleep in my car? You know, what am I going to do? I ended up going to a friend's house for a week. He ended up convincing me I was still crazy, went back. Then shit just kept going down the same road. We even went to therapy. He was trying to convince the therapist to convince me that I was crazy, like all kinds of crazy shit. And finally, it just got to the point, I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I can't do this. You're not doing the work. You're not putting in any effort. Fucking done. So then when his dad cut me off, I was heartbroken even more. Like, I'm already at a low point and you are making me feel even lower, right? And it took me a lot to push past that fear of like, okay, listen, you know, because he used fear tactics in order to get me to come back. And I was still fucking miserable. So I had to push past that fear of being alone, being abandoned, and all these things from people who said they loved me and cared about me and wanted best for my well-being, when reality they didn't. They didn't give two shits, because if I wasn't with him, then I had no place in their life, right? They started deleting my comments off of Facebook. They were completely ignoring me on post. And it was just like, even if I reached out, it was one word answers. They wouldn't have a conversation with me. Well, then why? Why am I even trying, right? So when I got this letter in my dream, all those things came back up, and you can understand, like, you see me rattled right now. And it's because it was a very hard time for me in my life. I mean, it's taken me, we've been separated 2 years, and I would say within the last, you know, because it was definitely more at the beginning of this year when I really started coming to that full, like, I'm good. I'm good with this. Hey, Rebecca. I completely understand why all this had to happen. I finally was able to release those energetic cords and whatever, because he had a tight asshole on me, y'all. Tight asshole. But again, back to that, giving up on him. Like, you don't want to feel like you're giving up on someone you love, right? So you end up putting up with more bullshit when they are not doing any of the work, right? So I was actually having a conversation with my friend, and I'll pull this up for y'all too, because obviously y'all need to hear it. But seeing that in the letter in my dream, it brought all that back up for me, and I haven't thought about it in a long time. So at first I was like, holy crap, like, you know what, I don't want to feel like this. Why am I, feeling guilty for letting go of a situation that obviously did not serve me or him? I mean, fuck, he had another woman moved into our house. He changed the locks on me the very first week when he realized I was coming to get my shit. Like, he had to control me and my belongings. It was that bad. And then he had another woman moved in within 6 months of me leaving. Like, okay, so my friend is going through a lot of shit too. And this is actually from the book, I think it's by Sylvia Brown, The Soul's Perfection. And she says, when should we stop giving to others? When it impedes the perfection of our soul, okay? The challenge is to discern who can be helped from those who simply want to use you. Do not waste your time on one person who does not want to get better when there are 10 others you could be helping who will get better. If you always carry someone, then their legs won't work. Ask God to help you know who is worthy of your time, okay? So another message that came through last night is, we are here to support but not enable, okay? I am not here to carry your ass. I am here to carry mine so that I can help others in this world. That is my purpose for being here. I will not apologize for doing what is best for my highest good when you are not willing to do any of the work yourself. And another thing, I should not, and this goes for everyone, you, okay, because I am you, you are me. We are all one, right? You should never, and let me say this again, you should never have to question where your place is in your own home, within your relationship, or any place else when it comes to someone else, okay? I should not have to chase someone or convince someone of my fucking worth. When I know that I was a good wife, I was a hell of a good mom, way better parent than they were showing up as, and I was a banging ass wife. I was a great friend. And I will not apologize when I know that I did every single thing that I could to make that relationship work and to make him feel supported in his lowest moments. Okay, so let me tell you, whether you are male or female, do not waste your time. Do not let anyone, and the Aquarius reading too yesterday, there was a point in that where it's like, once you have made up your mind that you need to go in a certain direction or you need to leave a certain situation, do not let anyone make you question what is best for you. When your heart tells you that you need to make a decision and you make that decision, and then you talk to someone, and this is why I tell everyone, be careful of who you tell about your shit, because not everyone always has the best interest for you, right? It just is. And they are not going to know what is best for you better than you do. You know what I'm saying? And if you know that there's someone that completely supports you no matter what your decision is, then you know you got a good fucking friend. But if you have someone that when you come to them and say, listen, this is my decision, I know I need to do this, and they're like, nah, I don't think that's a good idea, then that's not a real friend. Okay. Because I can tell you more than once, I have had people in my life that have come up to me and, I need help and I try to help them through shit. And one of them used to be my old roommate that I had to leave because shit got crazy. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, listen, babe, I support you no matter what decision you have to make for yourself, but I can't help you no matter what decision or no matter what advice I give you. None of it's good. You're wanting to stay in victim mode, and I can't do that for you. Like, I can't support that. When you make your decision, I will be there to support you, but you have to make that on your own. Okay? Then she flipped on me. Okay? So listen, I do not support anyone. And this was a post that I posted yesterday too. Hanging around me, you have to want better for yourself. You have to want to do the work for yourself, not for anyone else in this world. Okay. You have to want better. You have to do better. And that is so that we can step into purpose and we can be satisfied and actually live our life to the fullest capability, right? I will be your biggest fucking cheerleader, but I will not enable you. Okay. I am not an enabler anymore. So don't ask me to be. And I will not, once I set my boundaries, do not ask me to go against what my better judgment is in order to appease you. I don't do it. I won't. And I will not apologize for my decisions or my behavior anymore. And I feel like everyone else needs to do that too. So that is what it is. And this is why we need to pay attention to our dreams and what it brings up for us. Because listen, I almost cried this morning over that shit. I was like, oh my God, like, all the abandonment started coming back up, all that fear of being judged and whatever. And like, nah, I did everything I could. And I know I did. I spoke my mind. I wrote him letters. I was as patient as possible. I overlooked so many things. I mean, I went to therapy with him. I did everything that I could for that relationship, and he couldn't even lift a fucking pinky. No. Don't try to make me feel guilty because I had to do what I had to do for my well-being. I will not apologize for that anymore. So understand it is okay for you to speak your mind. It is okay for you to stand up for yourself. And don't let anyone try to tell you what is best for your soul, period. Okay? Because no matter what the situation is, even if you are in a toxic relationship, listen, I had to let my best friend go through it. She had to let me go through it. I had to leave when my soul knew there was no other way this was going to work out. I knew when it was time for me to leave. And I even had people tell me, you will know. You will know when it's time. When you have learned all the lessons you could possibly learn, then you will know when it's time to walk away. Okay. But that is why when people reach out to me for relationship readings, I will tell you, like, listen, this is what I see. But ultimately, it is up to you to discern what is best for you and what is not. And if you are not ready to leave, then you have not learned all the lessons from this karmic partner, right? So whether it is karmic, whether it is a soulmate, whether it is someone that just came into your life to fuck your world up so that you could rebuild everything, it doesn't matter what the label is. Every relationship that comes into our life is a reflection. So if you were living in fear of relationships, if you are in fear of what love is, if you do not know how to properly speak up for yourself or stand up for yourself when someone wants to tread on your territory, then you are not ready for a relationship, my dear. And that is exactly why I stay single, because I know, and I am honest to a fault with myself and everyone else in my life. Okay, I do not sugarcoat shit for anybody. So Don't expect me to do it. Don't. It won't, it's not going to happen. Okay. So my whole point is, and listen, I've been like this my entire life too. I would rather be straight up than beat around the bush. I will ignore before I say something that I don't want to say, or, and I've always been like that too. And I don't know why. Like, if I'm scared I'm going to hurt someone's feelings, then I just won't say anything. I will ghost. I'll just ignore it. And it's not healthy either. And I'm aware of that. Okay. So every one of us has a different way of showing up in our relationships, but you also have to understand how you are showing up, right? Like, if you are in a relationship and you're seeing this as a mirror, right? And this is why I'm being patient as fuck, because I know the more that I work on myself and the more that I discover my truth, right, the deepest parts of myself, then I will energetically attract the person that is going to match that vibration. And that's ultimately what I want. I don't want someone to just fill a void or fill time or, a space in my life because I'm lonely, because I'm not. So it's one of those things where you have to trust your own understanding. And listen, don't get mad at someone in your life. And I know it's hard, because ultimately we're attracting what our vibration is. So if you are not happy in your relationship, then you need to be able to ask yourself, what is causing dis-ease in my life for me to attract this kind of person? And maybe you attracted or fell in love with someone earlier in life that, you're afraid to let go of, but you done left behind. And that's my thing. I am evolving at such a fast rate. And I even told my husband this, like, I am evolving and I don't want to leave you behind. That I told him that in a therapist appointment. Okay. So it was one of those things where I know that I am evolving so fast. Unless I have someone standing beside me that is doing the same thing, there is no point in me getting into a relationship. Because if you come to me saying that you don't need any healing or you don't need to address any of your traumas and everything in your life is perfectly fine, but you have never looked at yourself, then you are not meant to be in my life. That is not someone I'm going to let in my life, regardless of what the connection is or how hot you are or whatever. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to put myself in that kind of position. And you should want better for yourself too. Okay. So, hey, listen, everyone ascends when they are meant to, regardless. I was actually having this talk with Michelle yesterday, especially with the whole twin flame thing. A lot of us were, we were talking about the twin and like how a lot of people are still very much in separation. Well, I met one lady that was still in separation after knowing her twin for 20 plus years, but she was still angry. She was angry. She was bitter. She was, first off, mean as fuck. Like, I mean, she was even testing me, and no one in the group really even like cared for her energy. Well, listen, if you show up like a major bitch, of course your twin ain't gonna want to come around you. Like, because you're not radiating love. You were the whole point of the twin journey is unconditional love with no attachment. A lot of us don't know how to do that. So that's a thing that we need to learn. Okay. And listen, I'm still going through it. And until mind blocked me, it was just like, I was still hoping that he would come back around. Now that he blocked me, I can be like, okay, well, whether he does or he doesn't, this is my life. I'm going to do what I fucking well please. I don't care. Because I'm on my own journey. He obviously has a lot to do with his life and, going through whatever he's learning, and that's on him. It is not up to me. I am here to live my life to the fullest extent, and I am not going to wait around on anyone, period. period. I wish him the best. I hope that he's doing well. But other than that, not my problem, right? And I was putting too much emphasis, especially when, all that astral travel and 5D experiences were happening. I mean, I'm not going to lie, that shit was fucking amazing, but it still kept me super attached and thinking that he was going to come back around. And he didn't. And then I was like, oh, well, that's a little disappointing. But again, the more that, and that's why I personally don't even mind triggers anymore, because they're opportunities. And every time I get triggered, it gets easier and easier. But I will say too, that as we start to evolve and we're changing, everything in our life changes. So we have to make sure that we're not holding on to something that is not changing with us. Does that make sense? So, yeah. And sometimes you have to, guys. And again, don't feel guilty for doing what you have to do. I mean, seriously, me and my ex had 150 mutual friends. You want to know how much was left over by the time I got done with my deleting party? I mean, they were in a good mix. I have friends, but I don't have a ton of friends. Okay. And it's because I had to leave a lot of those people behind. We might still be friends on Facebook or whatever, but I only have a few close friends, right? When most of the people that were on my Facebook, I would say about 115 of them, of those people I had to delete, were attached to him. Okay. That was one hell cleanup. Okay. So do what you have to do. And listen, and some of them were in phases. I think out of all the people that we had mutual, his daughters, I even had to delete his son because his son was treating me like shit and wanted to treat me as if I was the fucking villain and that I just gave up on their family, but his dad didn't do a damn thing wrong. Listen, don't come acting like your damn daddy with that shit, because your dad had a choice too. I'm not going to sit here just because you're my son to let you talk to me like that. I'm just not going to. If you want to have a conversation, but no, this ain't going to be one-sided bully Jessica. We're not doing it. And I only had 3 friends, female friends, that I kept from our relationship. And they were the only ones that actually made an effort to either be nice to me or to make an effort in seeing me. If you make an effort, I'll keep you around, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to go out of my way for you either. You know what I'm saying? So I do not have I have Charlie. He's my fur baby. That's still my child. And then I have his daughters, but I do not have any of my biological children. I can't have kids. And that was another harsh thing that I had to go through. I had a hysterectomy at 26 due to endometriosis. And, and that was another thing. Seriously, think about this. Okay. If your spouse was in excruciating pain, right? To the point they couldn't even stand up, would you let them go to the hospital by themselves? You know what I'm saying? He only, out of all the times that I ended up going to the hospital due to my pain, he only went once. And that's when him and my mom were there, and I was curled up in the fetal position, crying my eyes out because I could not move. I was just in so much pain. I was just I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I can't even handle, my insides are exploding. Get me to the hospital now. That was the only time he went. I probably went 4 or 5 times in the time that all of that shit was happening. Yeah. So, and listen, a lot of light workers, especially ones who have bigger missions, actually don't have kids for that reason. There are people in this world that are meant to be moms. And, you know, as much as I love children, I'm super great with children. Everyone trusts me with their children. I love baby loves. Okay. And I'll tell you, after my surgery, I mean, it was heartbreaking for me because a lot of my friends were having kids, and, you know, even my best friends were, you know, scared to tell me that they were pregnant, or, you know, me going over and meeting babies and I couldn't even hold them because I was just like so upset that I couldn't be, you know. And that's, again, society, guys. Society has taught us, you know, you go to school, you find a significant other, you get married, you buy a house, you have children, and all these things. Like, you have a certain order for your life. That is not, it's not how your life has to go. And I'm not going to sit here and try to fit into the mold of everyone else, you know. And I even had a lot of like weirdness about telling people that I live with my parents, but in reality, it works out for all of us because we help. I can't afford to live on my own right now. Okay. It is what it is. But I don't necessarily trust anyone, especially in this fucking town, to go move in with a stranger. I'm not going to move in with my friends because I've already learned my lesson with two, and both of those blew up in my face. My mom's got too many damn health issues to be by herself all the time. Like, it just makes sense for us right now, and I'm not going to sit there and feel bad about it. So it's also one of those things where when it comes to relationships, you know, they make you feel like that's all there is to life, and that if you're not a mom, or that you don't have this or that by a certain age, that you're doing something wrong. Fuck that, guys. Fuck that. Who's to say that that is wrong? It doesn't even, yeah, I ain't even worried about it, okay? There is nothing wrong with not having children. If you don't want to have kids, then don't have kids. It's not meant for everyone. And listen, now that I was literally like heartbroken after my surgery, but I love being Auntie Jess. I'm just saying, I make a great aunt. I have been helping raise other people's kids since I was 18. I've done my fucking duty. Okay. So I'm just saying, if you need a great babysitter, I got you, because I love kids. I am that crazy aunt. Like, even when I was working at the gym, we have a daycare there, and like, the daycare workers would be like, hey, Jess, can you come, you know, watch the kids for a second? Man, they'd come back. I was just another one of those kids. We were running around in circles. We're playing the floor is lava. I mean, I'm a big kid. I like to have fun. I like to get on their level. I like to be innocent and vulnerable. And that's just who I am. And that's why kids relate to me. I've always been good with kids. And I think that's why I had a hard time with it too, because it's like, how can someone who is so close to kids, or so drawn to kids, and such mothering instinct, not be able to have those? Like, I mean, I was angry at God for a while. But I actually had a doctor when I was 16 tell me that I was going to have a hysterectomy. And I was like, bitch, you crazy. I'm 16. They were able to get me on medicine to make it last 10 years, but that's all I got. I got 10 years from the moment she told me that. And I was in pain the majority of my life. But I didn't realize, too, that all the women in my family had, issues either conceiving or, having a hysterectomy by the time they were 30 or not much past 30. So it wasn't until I started going through all that, which endometriosis, even when I was diagnosed with it, wasn't a really like well-known disorder. It wasn't a well-known disease. And so it wasn't until after that I had my surgery that it was like, it became more of a like talked about subject. I mean, my doctor cried with me on the surgery table even afterwards. Like, he had a daughter my age and he just broke down. He was like, I don't want to do this. And it's like, I'm just so sorry. And I'm just like, it's okay, Dr. Mickley, shit happens. Even when I'm doped up, I talk to my doctor. And I think that's why he loved me. We were close. So, yeah. I mean, and it is. Everyone has a different thing in their life that we're all meant to do. So just because your lifestyle may differ from what the majority of people are doing or when they have kids, there's a lot of people that aren't having kids till later in life, and that's perfectly fine too. I know a lot of people who travel the world and live their life and establish their lives before they have kids, and then I know a lot of people who have kids at a very early age and then struggle. Whatever, it is whatever. It's whatever you feel fits and makes sense in your life. It is your life. Do not apologize. Do not feel guilty for making whatever decision you feel is best for you. And that's another thing too, because listen, there are always going to be people who do not understand, do not support, or, try to make you feel like out of sorts for your lifestyle or your choices. And this is exactly why it does not matter. You cannot make everyone happy. You do what makes you happy, what makes sense in your life, and do what you have to do. It is your journey. And each one of us has a certain role to play. So when you live in your truth, when you stay in alignment with whatever that truth is, you're good. You're good. It doesn't even matter. It's all details anyway, guys. So my point is, this is a long fucking ramble, but obviously needs to be said, and a lot of my tribe needs to hear it. So, it is what it is. No matter what, and listen, I don't care if the whole fucking world wants to sit there and pile their bullshit on you. You are loved. You are supported. You are amazing. We love you. Tribe loves you. We support you in whatever decision you feel you have to make for yourself. There is no judgment here, guys. You do what you have to do in order to live your most authentic version of yourself and do whatever gives your soul joy. That's all we ask. That's all God wants, is to do what gives your heart joy, because that's where he lives, right? So I love you guys. And I wish you the best of luck. Whoever needed to hear this, I hope it finds you. And make sure that if you resonate with these messages, again, language is bad, but whatevs. Hopefully children won't watch this. And give it a thumbs up. Share it with your friends. Drop me a comment. Let me know if you needed to hear this today. And there's nothing wrong with you. You are not crazy. You are perfect just the way you are. And I'm getting super emotional right now. Don't let anyone make you question who you are or where you stand in life, because you are exactly where you're meant to be, okay? And God loves you so much, guys. Seriously, you can't do wrong in his eyes. You can't, okay? And he just wants to love on you. He just wants to love on you. So do whatever you can to get closer to that consciousness, and just know that you are not alone in this. They are watching over you every second of every day, and they're just waiting for you to come home. That's it. Okay? So live it up. Do whatever you got to do, but do not waste time. Do not sit there and belittle yourself. Do not give yourself a hard time because people don't understand the decisions you had to make. And don't ever think that you are not good enough. Okay? If you ever feel like that, then you dig deep, you find that love within, and you let your heart sing. Okay? Because you're worth it. You are absolutely worth it. And you are not alone on this journey. Okay? So I love you so much. And if anyone needs to get in contact with me, all my information is down below. I love y'all so hard and so fierce, and I'm so glad that y'all are here on this journey with me and allowing me to just do what I do best. And thank you for being you, each and every one of you. Thank you for just being your individual, authentic selves and allowing me to express that with you. Okay. So I love y'all, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.